Yo, so I haven't posted to YouTube in a while since last summer with all the unrest and things like that. I learned a lot during this time. All the quarantine and the flow of information coming at me. It's too much. I feel like my mind is just going it's gonna go crazy. I think I know how Alex Jones feels. He's just shit's just going at him in every direction every day, and he just conflicted with all the information. It just sent you crazy. So, you know, yeah, that's where I'm at. But I guess that's what you could say about the quarantine. That's a good thing. You get to really dig down and evaluate our society. You know, because we take everything these leaders say as the truth, and we take it as granted. That these people actually care about us. But now you gotta really sit down, and with this, you gotta see how they act. You're not just going to work and coming back and this and that. You gotta, kind of half-ass catch what they're saying. You're sitting down all day, you know, and you really gotta dig deep. So instead of doing challenges all day and doing, bullshit all day, sometimes you gotta sit down and really question everything. And you start to realize, there's a lot of things wrong with our society. So many things are just not okay at all. And you wonder, what is going on? It's a whole circle. It's a chicken and the egg. Like, do we have incompetent, you know, garbage leaders, or do we have incompetent, lackluster, uh, selfish people? Do we have people who just, whatever, as long as they got a nice designer belt, some Balenciagas or whatever, that's all that matters. If you got those things, you don't really give a fuck about, whether your kids are getting real education, or, you don't really care if, a bunch of people just lost their jobs in a certain sector and they got, sent to China for cheaper. And then China's a communist country, so they're gonna pay them however they feel like, and then they're gonna send those products to you for nothing, and then you're gonna complain over here about minimum wage, and then they're gonna raise the minimum wage up, and those employers are gonna try to take those businesses and get the fuck and leave and try to go somewhere else where they can get cheaper prices for it, and then those areas that are more liberal in policies are going to drive the billionaires and the big heads away, and they're going to go take their products somewhere else. So as those big heads, those Silicon Valley, you know, big business people start to take off and leave uh, these liberal states, if they start to get tired of, when they start to feel like, oh, we're getting taxed too much or whatever, which they're not. They have loopholes, but they start to use that to, scare the politicians into not taxing them. Then, you know, and let's say they, or the politicians do decide to try to tax them fairly, and they start to take off, and they start leaving places like here in New York, and people start to leave, and it starts to get more empty and stuff like that. Then you start to have, you know, this exodus starts to happen. People try to go back to all these places they came from, and then it brings down a lot of things, and then you just have a whole, there's just a whole bunch of things that can come from that. You could have a whole bunch of things. You could have crime start to accelerate. People start to feel hopeless, and there's all the jobs are gone or whatever, and feel like they can't do anything, and taxes are just too high, and just feel like they're being strangled by the government, and that's the problem. Big government. But see, this happens when you have people that don't care. When people don't care and they decide that, other things are important than paying attention to sectors, all these sectors of our lives that all have a big factor. And we fall for the misleading campaigns, These, politicians come out and they say a lot of half truths, and people are so comfortable in these half truths because we've been made to not be comfortable in our own skin that we think we have to, try to be something that we're not. We're little, man. This world is so fake. This world is fake as fuck. There's so much, we live in a fucking plastic world, man. Like, that's why I don't listen to none of this media out here, man. It's just nonsense. It's just regurgitating the same nonsense. And during these past 4 years, boy, Trump just allowed them to play themselves out. They were just sucking his meat. They did nothing else. They got nothing else in their diets. The news media had nothing else in their diets. I don't know how they're going to make it through this next 4 years without talking about Trump. They're going to starve due to lack of Trump dick. They're not going to have any Cheeto dick in their system. That's all they've gotten used to. They've adapted to just sucking Trump 24/7. Other than that, it's just scaring us with COVID numbers. That's all they've got. So, he's exposed. They just expose themselves as phony. All it is just a ratings game for them. They say whatever crazy shit, and boom. They try to get a reaction out of everybody. So that's exposed right there. The media, they're not about shit. And we gotta stop letting them mislead us. We gotta stop letting government, mislead us. Stop getting used to half-truths. Stop being, caught up in celebrities. It's the idea of a celebrity. See, when you're not comfortable in yourself, then you start getting caught up in celebrities. You start to, give a fuck about, what does Beyonce do on her off time? She's a person just like you. You gotta appreciate her music. You just gotta learn how to appreciate people. Appreciate nature, You don't have to go crazy and then, become like some tree hugging person or whatever. You don't have to become, a crazy religious fanatic. You just have to appreciate. That's all. That's the human, that's the human problem. We gotta learn how to appreciate. You learn how to appreciate things, then boom, we can all of a sudden move faster, advance into all kinds of crazy things. This idea that we gotta keep, battling these ideas, these boxes, we're all living in these boxes, like the grid on my screen, that we throw ourselves into our whole lives, and we fight with other people based on this notion of what we box ourselves into, or someone has boxed into our heads and made us think this is what we gotta be. Like this whole past year, people coming to me and trying to have me think that I gotta think a certain way. But I don't want to be a weak-minded person. Just fall in line with the mob and just scream the same hands up, don't you? Rhetoric. I want to be my own person outside of any box, and this is how you truly learn. You try to get outside of any boxes, any biases, and you try to go out and really experience fully life. Go snowboarding. Understand Buddhism. Understand Confucianism. Understand try to understand socialism, communism, capitalism, try to understand real estate, try to understand how to be self-employed, try to understand how to, you know, what are the real causes behind mental illness? What are the real causes behind starvation? You know, agriculture. You know, how did all these colleges get founded? What are they founded in? Where did they get all their money from? All these nonprofits, what they seem. These are all deep, 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 deep. You can go down a rabbit hole deeper and deeper and learn a lot of stuff. And I've learned a lot of esoteric stuff. Still haven't scratched the surface. You go down and try to learn, a little stuff off of, some clips and things like that. Try to read here and there, but also need to hit up Barnes and Nobles and things like that and get into some books like that. But about those kinds of things, about astral projection and understanding numerology, astrology and things like that. Because you're more than just your physical self. And then you got to understand, you got to understand how society is controlled by a few people. That's why we see all these things, they see these events seem like, they're all carried out in the same way, and it just seems planned out. All these things, COVID itself, it might be real, it might not be real, but something's definitely carried out on a much higher level by a few people, and then spread out to us. They want us to see certain things a certain way. That's why they control our food, water, air. Everything is a certain way, with the chemtrails. And Bill Gates, even right now, is trying to block out the sun. This man thinks he can block out the sun. They want to control everything around us to control our view of life. They think they can tell us how we gotta do everything, and we're basically, a bunch of lab rats to them, and we're just out here just taking it, like who? I wasn't born. We were not born to be treated like, like a bunch of lab rats. We're not out here to just be a bunch of wage slaves. People think it's all over, but if you're working your whole life and you can barely make any ends meet, but your boss is making billions and billions, he's dodging taxes. You got to deal with all these taxes. You can barely get health care. You have to pay. Let's say you get diabetes, and your health care doesn't cover diabetes. It's about to be a tough day, paying out of pocket. When you're making money paycheck to paycheck. How are you gonna get by? Shit, tough luck, man. I'm telling you, like, if we don't start acting right, and we don't start syncing up as a people, like this whole human species coming together in a way that hasn't been done in human history, man. Like, this is it. The way that these rich people have technology, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, all these people that are trying to control us and have pretty much have us on lockdown, which is just making them crazy money, keeping us in fear and not knowing what's going to happen to us. That's what this is. It's a maze. They're just creating bullshit laws and bullshit, fear regulations to just test how, we're going to react. How do we feel about being locked down for 6 months? How do we feel about a year? What if, we lock down these events? and we keep small businesses locked down, but we let them use Amazon, and Amazon makes billions. Are they gonna do anything? Nah, they ain't gonna do nothing. So let's make it a year. You know, what happens if we give them only one stimulus check? How are they gonna survive? Is crime gonna go up? What if we release prisoners? Yeah. What if we still make them have to pay their rent, figure stuff out? What if they're just playing games with us, you know? Seeing how long they can, push us along before we snap. We're lab rats to these oligarchs, these people. A lot of them we don't even know about, these hidden people. These people that run everything. The few run the many. See, when you start to unplug, because all these things that you think are your favorite media, whatever, all of it is controlled by the oligarchy. When you get away from them and you start to look outside and you start to use your own eyes and listen with your ears, your taste. You start getting a taste for what's real. You get out of that plastic world, that Kardashian. You start to see, real women. You start to see, real animals, real food. You get out in real nature. That's going to set you free. You got to set yourself free. No one can do it for you. And when you start to realize that, boom, you're out of there. And you gotta leave them people behind, man. If you see these other people, they're not trying to get out this shit. Hey, tough day. I ain't about to save nobody. I'm not about to save nobody that doesn't want to be saved, If I see somebody I strike a conversation every now and then with people and see how, where their minds are at or whatever. But, you can't save everybody. People got to start to put two and two together. Because if you can't do it now, man, I don't know when you could do it. There's no excuses now. Everything is slowed down. You got social media to look up information. This isn't like back in the 80s and AIDS came out and you didn't have social media. You saw TV and it said something. Hey, I guess that's true. You didn't really have time to really go back and forth. You had a little regular job. But now, this is the information age. That's the good thing about now. The information is coming in crazy. It's coming in fast. Every day is an update. People want to know what's going on, and we're asking questions, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. We're asking questions, and we're going to get to the bottom of what's going on. And we can't let people who got big mouths and they suck, or they give their hands out to let the oligarchs suck their blood for free. They give themselves up. They'll give up everything for these oligarchs. And they basically have shown that these past few months, a lot of people willing to give it all up to make their billionaires, the overlords, more comfortable. Yep. And these billionaires, and they trying to keep track of you like a cow or something. If they could put a leash on us, if they could figure it out, I'm surprised, man, they don't try to put a fucking leash on us. Zap you if you think everybody gets put into a certain zone. If you step out, boom, zap, you go down. I didn't tell your ass to go outside the zone. You fucked up. who knows what they're coming up with. So they might be doing that. But it's crazy, man. Like, this is the future. We've hit the future, man. And it's a shame. It's a ghetto comedy. Like, is this real? Help me, get me out of here. Wake me up. Wake the people up. If you're not awake by now, mm-mm-mm. If you're not awake by now, but you know, I think a lot of people are waking up, especially these red states. People ain't believing it. But we need to get more people in these big cities to start waking the fuck up. These are the cities that influence the voting, allegedly, influence the trends and things like that. So we gotta get our trends going in the right way, so we're not misleading society, misleading the youth, misleading the future into the wrong direction. This is the time to finally pull back and take the power back, because these oligarchs, they're trying to take us into a very obsolete future. A future that is not good for anybody who's not the few. I think we need a slogan 10 years after Occupy Wall Street. We need to bring that back. We need to come back and let them know we're not playing. I think we did it pretty good with hitting them up with the GameStop fiasco. So I like that. I think that's gonna have to be. We got to come at them harder. I say they deserve all of that, all the smoke. And I hope a few of these little blue-blooded, pieces of garbage learn their lesson, and I hope some of them went bankrupt. They could learn just like us. Take your broke ass on. Take your old money on. I hope somebody's sitting with that old money and their new bank account. You lost to a fucking streamer. Some dude is sitting in his house, probably not even his house. His parents, his mom's house and shit, playing video games, being a troll, and he's out here now sitting on the old money. I know that. I don't miss it right. So we gotta keep going. These people on top, they gotta realize they can get touched too. They can get that work. But it's just a sign that we gotta go for different times. We gotta let it be known. We gotta let it be known that we're not playing around no more. Occupy Wall Street, the sequel, is upon us. We gotta be smarter this time. We gotta realize it's not about sitting around, chanting a bunch of stuff, screaming at cops. Doesn't do anything. Being divided doesn't do anything. You gotta have one mindset. Attack. You gotta realize what it's all about. Put down your differences for real. Don't just be out here bullshit. You gotta realize that we all got a lot in common. We're all about to lose our humanity out here. They're out here pushing transhumanism. That's the end game. Transhumanism. I ain't with it. you shouldn't be with it. You know, because you're not really human anymore. You're just not a cyborg that can put whatever into, and you're out of here. So, yeah. Expose these cabal, blue-blooded, snake-ass, debauchery living, game rigging, blood sucking corporate scum. And if you feel the type of way, you can go work for them on a plantation or something, especially in a month like this. You want to be you want to be an ass kisser, to show you haven't learned anything about Black history. You want to repeat history again. Hey, I'm down for everybody having to learn the hard way. But you gotta realize it's time to wake up. Smell the roses. It's time to get free. We've been free all along. We just keep allowing ourselves to fall into fear. Stop giving into fear. There's nothing to fear. We do the work. The 99%, we're the plumbers and the doctors and the lawyers and the technicians and the teachers and the police and the firefighters. We're the bank tellers and the delivery people and the doormen, and we're the soccer moms and the basketball dads and the football coaches, and we're the ones who get up early as hell trying to push our dreams to come to fruition. We don't get to go to the government after tanking out a whole economy and fucking people's futures up and getting a bullshit boost. We don't get to do that. Nah. So we gotta realize that we have a lot more in common, for real. When you have a lot more in common, you need to hold on to that and realize what really matters. You gotta really we gotta get our heads out our asses. All this other goofy stuff is it's not playtime no more. It's for real. People have been warning for years. This is it. This is the Hunger Game. Early day Hunger Game, and it can go real crazy if we don't start to turn the car around and take back our humanity. Otherwise, if you think last summer was a crazy one, boy, you ain't see nothing. You ain't seen nothing. So, stop believing everything. Drown yourself in diverse knowledge. Get outside the box. Fuck the corporate scum. Can't trust the media. Reconcile differences. Occupy Wall Street. We do the real work. That's what it's all about. Stop using fake slogans, especially if you don't mean it. Don't just shout a bunch of stuff. Si prede. Nah, just sit down, because you don't really mean it. You gotta mean it. When you really feel it from the heart, then you're ready to take over. That's when you go out. But yeah, that's it, folks. I'll hit y'all up again. Share, subscribe, get the word out. It's your boy. Peace.